My name is Sherard Griffin. Good morning, everyone. I am going to talk to you about using the Massachusetts Open Cloud in order to perform data science experiments. You can think of this as, say you have a couple of initiatives or things you're working on. Maybe you need to run experiments on big data at a large scale. Maybe you're just looking to access some cool new AI, ML technologies. Those roll out pretty often. You might not have the resources or the infrastructure to get it set up on your own. Or perhaps you just have data that you've churned through, you've processed, and you want to now make it available to your colleagues or some other people who might be interested in those experiments and those results. Well, what we've been working on is the Open Data Hub. And you've kind of heard a little bit about the Open Data Hub before. What we started the Data Hub with, it wasn't actually open, it was internal to Red Hat. And we created the AI Center of Excellence along with the Data Hub team to solve some internal problems we had at Red Hat around machine learning. Instead of each team having their own infrastructure and their own support mechanism for AI and ML workloads, we decided to join forces internally to create the Data Hub as a central place to share data, but also share AI and ML workloads. You can think of the Data Hub and the Open Data Hub as the open source version of this. We've pushed this out to the community, including the Massachusetts Open Cloud, and we allow people to go in and actually do AI and ML as a service. You no longer have to worry about the infrastructure. You can think of it as a combination of meta projects in the open source AI ML world that we've kind of collaborated on and put it as a single package. It frees the users from having to worry about the complexities of these stacks, and so that they can just focus on delivering on the experimentation and the results of those. From a data science perspective, this is a very simplified view of how a data science person would interact with the Data Hub. We do store the data in Ceph. Ceph Object Store with an S3 backing is our layer for, you can think of it as a data lake. Any type of unstructured data you can store in Ceph. And then we use technologies on top of that. In this instance, we use Spark. We can use TensorFlow as well. We're working on with the MOC to have GPU-enabled TensorFlow. And then you would get access to this via Jupyter Hub. Not going to go over in detail a little bit about the architecture, but high level, you can kind of see there's multiple layers of this that we've rolled out into the MOC. That includes monitoring with technologies such as Prometheus and Grafana. From a storage perspective, we have both Elasticsearch and Ceph, and for some of our services, we use a graph database called JanusDB. And then in the streaming layer, we do have Kafka available, as well as some other serverless technologies called OpenWhisk that will probably turn into Knative pretty soon. From the analytics perspective, we have Spark, Jupyter Hub, and TensorFlow. And for reporting, we have Kibana. For the primary use of data science, though, you'll be using the stack that I mentioned before, where it's more about the TensorFlow and the Spark and the Jupyter Hub interactions. One of the other things we've deployed with the Open Data Hub is something called the AI Library. The AI Library is our curated collection of pre-made models that can be used open source. So you can think of things like sentiment analysis and flake analysis, which is used to detect failures in tests. We're working on a couple more anomaly detection, correlation analysis. For anomaly detection, you can think of if you have infrastructure, if you have streaming data coming in, and you just want to know, does the data fit the right pattern, or if there's an anomaly, let me know. The AI library, you can just take that model and deploy it immediately and start sending data and get some results. All right, so I'm going to show you guys a quick demo of the Open Data Hub. And the first thing that you'll see here, I'm just going to go into it really quickly. I'm going to gloss over a lot of things. But tomorrow we do have a workshop where we'll get more into the weeds, and I'll show you how to do a lot more of this. But it really starts with having an account with the MOC and getting access to the Ceph object storage. If you have data that you want to upload, you can just upload it into this environment. In this case, I've created a container and I've made it private, but you can also make it public. If you make it public, that means you can share it with anyone. You can download it anywhere you want to. You don't have to necessarily be logged in. In this case, I have two data sets that I've uploaded. One is for training a sentiment analysis model. The other one is metric data that was collected from Prometheus. And from this perspective, it could be any size data that you want. It could be multiple data sets as well. You can have, for example, if you're streaming data in, it could be hundreds and hundreds of files, or if you just have one big, massive piece of data that you want to analyze, you can do that as well. The other thing is you're not bound to having to upload your data into the Massachusetts Open Cloud. If you also have data in AWS or Google or anything like that, you can also get access to that through the Open Data Hub. So once you've actually uploaded your data to the Open Data Hub, you would then go to Jupyter Hub. For those of you not familiar with Jupyter Hub, you're probably familiar with Jupyter Notebooks. This is the multi-tenanted environment for handling collaboration within different data scientists. And so you would kind of sign into Jupyter Hub, and that would give you access to the environment to start your experiments. In this case, I have a number of notebooks already made available for me that I've created with my data scientists. You can create your own. You can share them with your colleagues. You can do whatever you want. You could download them to PDF, whatever you want to do in that case. We also have a number of different types of notebooks, and these are curated from Red Hat and our customers and people using the Open Data Hub. So in this case, we have a Spark one, we have a scikit-learn, we have a TensorFlow, we have some other ones that are going to be coming online as well. From a sentiment analysis perspective, I'm just going to show you this notebook and just show how easy it is to connect to the data that I just uploaded. So I've run this already. I'm not going to spend the time actually showing you it running, but you can see here, if the notebook that I'm using doesn't have everything, I can add additional libraries. I've added Keras to this, NLTK, Pandas, word cloud, and some other things. And after those are run, I just kind of go through these notebooks and click run one by one. You'll see that I've also installed PySpark, that part that comes with the notebook. PySpark allows me to use a Spark cluster. So when I spawned this notebook, behind the scenes, what you didn't see was every user gets their own Spark cluster, and it's catered to you. You don't have to worry about sharing that Spark cluster. So behind the scenes in OpenShift, there were a series of pods that spun up that would handle your Spark needs. And so from this perspective, don't pay attention to my secret keys and whatnot. But you'll see that I've actually configured this to talk back to the data. Here's that training data set that I had access to. And then I start going through this, and you can see I can start to analyze the data. This is not real data. It's kind of just some fake data in here. But you'll see as I'm processing the data, I can then see what's in the data, and then I can also do some kind of graphs, visualizations. At the end of this, this algorithm, what we do is we actually created a training model. And that training model, we then sent it back to the Ceph instance that we had, so that if I want to now do something with that training model, I can download it, I can email it to people, upload it to a different infrastructure, and then you'll see here within the containers, I'm going to go up one. I have my models folder here, and here's where I created the binary that's actually the model that can be deployed and used in any other infrastructure. So just wanted to show you guys a quick example of how easy it is to use the Data Hub. We'll be adding many more features, such as things like MLflow that will allow you to do experimentation with hypertuned parameters. We'll be adding layers on top like Istio, which will allow you to have a REST endpoint to your models. And then we'll just be continuing to elaborate on the different GPU-enabled nodes and things like that to make it to where you can upload massive data and process it. So that's it. And if you have any questions, just come to the workshop tomorrow. Thanks.